This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay. Good evening. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Southampton Select Board for Tuesday, June 27th at 6:03. If we could start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So tonight we have a couple of items on the agenda, but let's see if we have any open time for the public. Anybody here for that purpose? If not, we will move into the agenda. All right. So we have tonight no reports for the Select Board. Our first item up on new business, though, unless you want to take that out of order. Do you want to take that out of order? And do the recommendation first, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
I don't think hopefully this won't take long.
Let's take up the first item, which is the Assessor's FY24 budget issue.
Yes. And I received a email last week asking me how they transfer funds in their fiscal year 2024 budget, because towards the end of the budget process, they had become convinced that they would not necessarily find a permanent principal assessor during fiscal year 2024. So focusing on the actual permanent principal assessor position, they had requested the Select Board change their budget request and transfer all the funds from the principal assessor wage line into the consultant or expense wage lines. However, they forgot that they have an interim principal assessor who is paid as an employee on a W-2. So it leaves them $0 in that for fiscal year 24. I have explained to them that I don't think they want to wait till May or June of 2024 for the end of the year departmental transfers. So the only other way to do that transfer is at a special town meeting somewhere between now and whenever. Person in that position does not really meet the requirements of a consultant and should be paid on a W-2. We pretty much dictate when he comes in, when he works, what have you, even though it's on an interim basis. So that being said, leaves them in a little conundrum. Of course, I've said this before. It's the Select Board's choice. My recommendation, as much as we don't like it, would be to pay it out of the principal assessor's wage account, which means it's going to be deficit spent until we have a special town meeting, when the $21,000 that they anticipate will be needed by the interim principal assessor could be transferred back into that account number. So I did tell them I would bring their conundrum to the Select Board and ask for their opinions and their direction.
Definitely a conundrum.
Is that 21,000 the annual number?
That would be for the full year, correct?
That'd be the full year.
So $1,750 a month? 21 divided by 12.
Sounds about right for a biweekly payroll, yes.
And didn't we fund the reserve fund by $5,000? Didn't we level fund it?
We did.
I think we did.
We did.
So maybe we should ask Finance Thursday night. I mean, if we have to go deficit, we have to go deficit, but let's use up that reserve fund. That's the purpose of it, is to avoid going in deficit mode. Finance is going to meet. It at least covers 2 or 3 months. We still hope to have the town meeting at the end of September, early October.
Well, I'm still saying December, January.
Well, I know, but we got to get that 300, we need free cash done. The finance department has to live by the timelines this year.
So that would still be December.
Well, I mean, maybe,
Well-
I mean, hopefully not later than December while you're still here.
It's not what we planned on in the budget.
But, I mean,
Anyways, I would
Depends on
I
what
would say
comes up for
we
town meeting.
take all the money out of the reserve fund. And then once that's depleted, then if we have to go deficit, we go deficit. But we'll be farther down the road. We've got at least 3 months there.
And could you know the definition of what is supposed to come from the reserve fund?
This was an unanticipated cost because the budget was, they weren't going to have this expense. Otherwise, why would we have agreed to zero it out?
well, I mean, I think,
I think that was their mistake. If you've got an existing employee, even on an interim basis, carried over.
Right.
sounds like an administrative error on their part with a new assessor group that didn't really realize what they were doing when they made that budget decision, and we didn't double check what they wanted to do, I guess, in terms of leaving that line totally empty,
Or I guess the other option is we go without a chief assessor then.
which I don't think we can do.
So the revenue side, I wouldn't recommend that.
No, don't think so.
Now, the other alternative would be, do you want to think about approving, whether it's 5,000 or 7,500 out of ARPA funds to get us going in this area with the same thought process that we have used with some of the other accounts, is that, okay, once we have that town meeting, we can transfer the funds appropriately and do it that way. The other thing, and you could do less than that and think about, okay, do we have a special town meeting maybe during the month of August for just a couple of items?
That brings up a cost to do the town meeting.
Right.
So, for only a couple of items, I mean, I'd rather have a more full agenda to go to town meeting with, because we would probably have, I'm sure, speaking for the bylaws committee, I'm sure we'll have 2 or 3 other bylaws that we'd like to probably add on, and there may be other things that come up, is my point, that I wouldn't want to do it so quick just for 1 or 2 items, because it does cost us to run a town meeting. I guess, yeah, we do, I'm just checking, we do have 5,000 in the reserve fund, John, just to clarify, we do. I don't know, I have an opinion, but I'll wait. Anybody? Stephen, Joy, thoughts on that?
We're talking about the administrative person in the assessor's
No,
office?
we're talking about the principal assessor
Principal.
position.
All right, to go out and advertise at a salary that's
No,
not in the budget.
No,
this is to cover him to get into fiscal '24. They asked us to transfer all the money out. And the
Yeah,
only time you can
consultants.
transfer it back is at a special town meeting. So, or the end of the year. So I thought they were talking '23 originally, but it's FY '24 that they've zeroed out. Okay. So they moved it all from the principal assessor's line to the consultant line, and he's actually on a W-2, so he doesn't qualify to do that. I think we would have ARPA money. I think I would be inclined to go the ARPA route. I'm just a little bit leery about dipping into reserve funds so early in the year. We don't know what's coming at us.
Well, again, traditionally, we've never had money in there. We got it in last year, and we spent it on a roof.
Oh, we've had it for a couple of years. It was low.
2 years prior to that, it was
Yeah,
zero.
it was low. We were down at like 2,000, and then we moved it up to 5,000. So we did spend it last year for an emergency situation at the fire headquarters there. But I think I'd like to let us get into the fiscal year before we spend it on the reserve fund too much. And I think we will have, if we're talking, 7,500, 10,000, whatever, in ARPA money, we will have that left. And they need it as of
July
when?
1st.
July 1st, they need,
First.
yeah.
correct.
So, I mean, that would be my thought. But anybody else? Joy, thoughts?
No, I mean, it seems like ARPA's the cleanest route.
I mean, I think we want to try to not deficit spend. I agree with John. We need to find another interim measure. And if that doesn't get us all the way where we need to be, then we might dip into that and do deficit spending, even though that's frowned upon, obviously, but it would be
Yeah.
a little bit less burdensome than it, might be right at the very beginning, obviously.
Well, and I said the same thing last year, but I'll say it again this year. I'll never vote to deficit spend. It's an illegal act, and we all took an oath not to do that. So if we identify the funds, I'm fine. If we're going to vote for a deficit spend, I'm going to vote against it. But if you want to use ARPA funds, then I would suggest we start with $7,000. That's 4 months. While we did the budget, we were assured that we were going to do anything and everything needed to get everything in for free cash by September 30th, so we'd have it all back, so we could hold the meeting in October, so we can get that $340,000 moved back to our stabilization account. And I think we have to do everything we can to stay to that. So that's why I say 7,000. That gets us out into the month of October.
And that's figuring a certain amount per month?
So, well, 1,750 times 4 months.
Yeah,
I second that.
all right,
And the funding source to be ARPA.
okay. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of taking the funds out of the ARPA fund to cover the assessor for FY24, the first 4 months of FY24? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing no opposition, that passes.
Thank you, and I'm sure the Board of Assessors thanks you all also.
And we'll have them maybe do a little application after the fact, just so we have it
Yes.
documented? Sure. Okay, for all of our ARPA tracking. And that way, once we have some of the monies that'll reflow from a couple of these grants, we can reimburse ourselves on that one. Okay. Unfortunate situation, but I think that's the best we can do right now, at least to get them started, okay? All right, next on the agenda, the interim temporary fire chief EMS coordinator recommendation. And I'll turn that over to John. John and Ed,
We-
who were interviewed.
We conducted, we held the open applications, we conducted interviews of the individuals that applied, and then we met as a group, and the group being the town administrator and myself afterwards, to score them, scale them, and to put forward a single recommendation. And per the process under state law, the only name that becomes publicly known is the final candidate being nominated or put forward. So the committee voted unanimously to put forward our current Deputy Chief Fasoli to serve as interim fire chief. And while all the candidates were uniquely qualified and any of them would have done a great job filling the job, it came down to, at least for the very past 10 years, Deputy Chief Fasoli has been the number 2 at the department. And in addition, he was the one that came forward with a letter of endorsement from our current outgoing chief. So all things being equal, those are the 2 things that put him over the top.
Okay.
And we would ask that this board unanimously support our decision.
Okay, all right. Any further comment? Ed, anything to add? No?
No, I think John covered it very well. Thank you.
All right, so I think we want to put that in the form of a motion, and we'll...
I'll make a motion to appoint Deputy Chief Fasoli effective June 30th, correct?
Yes.
June 30th to the position of interim fire chief with an anticipated not to exceed 90 days.
Okay.
Second?
Second by Stephen, okay. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. So, congratulations. Deputy Chief is here in the audience, I believe. So good.
We assume you still want to accept it?
All right, very good. Okay, perfect. All right, and then we'll go on to a couple of other items.
I think just,
Sorry. Yep.
we have like 2 cleanup items to do before we get to the executive
Great.
session.
Yep.
So it should be pretty quick.
Yep, we'll get to a couple other items here. Other business that can't wait until the next regular July 11th meeting. Ed, I know we've got something for our building commissioner.
Yes, you have a PCF in your package for retroactive pay for Ron Lauren as building commissioner. When he was hired, one of the conditions that the select board had agreed to in employing him was when he did receive his building commissioner's certification that he would receive a 5% increase. So that PCF is here. He received his certification at the beginning of the calendar year in January. There is a pending departmental transfer that the Select Board has approved, but the Finance Committee will take up Thursday night to cover the retroactive pay, which is $1,266.96.
Okay. Could we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the retroactive 5% pay back to January 2nd, 2023 for Ronald Lauren, our building commissioner, that it be approved pending approval of the Finance Committee.
Okay. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Joy?
Joy. Yep. Now, does PQB doesn't have to sign off on this one? That's what's on the
Yes.
form. Is it finance or PQB? Both?
Well, Finance, because we can
The
only pay the
departmental
retro
transfer.
if that transfer goes through.
Okay. Oh, the transfer part, yes.
Yeah.
Now, I think this looks like originals here. Do I have the original to sign?
No, the original is here.
Looks very much original.
Well, this is definitely not.
Original.
You can always tell my original is blue ink.
Good copier.
Yes, our new copy machine is very accurate.
Okay. Send that.
And then also in your packages, you should have a departmental transfer request number 4. I don't see it in mine. so-
I do not.
I think it came out by email.
Okay. I was pretty sure that
Departmental.
Judy had put it in the packages, too. So there are, on number 4, there are 4 requests. One shortfall in the Memorial Day fund of $79.98 due to unanticipated increase in the flower costs to be covered by principal's assessor salary, cemetery commission expenses, the unforeseen extra plumbing that was required to be done on the renewal of the water lines and the water faucets in the center cemetery of $3,500, funds to come from principal assessor salary. Veterans benefits was going to be short by $3.31. That's coming from veterans agent expenses of $331, and then the assessor admin assistant was going to be short by up to $1,000, and that's to come from principal assessor salary, $1,000. So both sides of the equation, the deficit and the source of funds, are $4,583.29.
Okay. All right, could I have a motion to approve the transfer number 4?
So moved.
Okay, Joy, could I have a second?
Second.
Stephen, okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Hearing none, okay, motion passes. So the transfer 4 is approved by Select Board and will go to the Finance Committee, correct?
Yes, thank you.
4583 and 29 cents. All right, and we may still have another one coming in at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
I would hope that with the 4 we've done, we've gotten the majority, but there always seems to be invoices that come in
Yeah.
right at the end of the fiscal year or the beginning of the next that
Yeah.
are
I see
surprises,
the-
can be surprises.
Yeah, I see that Bradley had sent out a notice to all the department heads and so forth about getting their last bills in and any encumbrances and so forth that they had, so. Everybody has been duly notified. Okay, so with that, we're going to take a break and go into an executive session at this point in
You
time.
have another PCF.
Not yet, we're going to go into
Oh, you're
executive
gonna,
session.
okay.
So we are going to go into executive session per MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Number 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, interim temporary fire chief, EMS director. Also for MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Number 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, COA director. And for the third reason, MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Number 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements, approval of executive session minutes, March 28, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion to move into the executive session.
So moved.
Okay, John, and a second, please.
Well, second.
Stephen, second. Okay, have a roll call vote, please.
Lumber, aye.
Johnson, aye.
Piper, aye.
Fowles, aye. Okay. We will move into executive session at about 6:25 and come back into open session when we're done. So we're adjourned public session for right now. About 7:46, all right. We have a couple of final agenda items to report back on, and during executive session, we were able to vote to offer the interim temporary fire chief EMS coordinator position to Deputy Chief Fazoli.
I make a motion that we authorize the chair to execute a PCF for Richard Fasoli, interim fire chief / EMD director, effective June 30th, with a biweekly compensation of $2,250. And that the select board, acting in its authority of approve it without PPP approval.
Okay. I have a motion made. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joy. Okay. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Hearing no opposition, that is approved. Thank you very much, and we will get that signed. All right, and we have, what else? We have a PCF, I believe, also for the Council on Aging Director.
I make a motion to authorize the town administrator to prepare a PCF effective July 24th, 2023, to a Christina Johnson for the position of Council on Aging Director, benefits eligible, full-time, 32 hour, not to exceed 32 hours per week, and to be, the compensation to be a grade 5, step 10, with a biweekly compensation of $1953.28, of which $2,912 annually will come from the state formula grant, or otherwise stated $28.77 per hour from the general fund and $1.75 per hour of the hourly rate from the state formula grant.
Okay.
And that it take effect on no sooner than July 24th to allow the PPP committee to take it up for consideration.
Okay.
I will second that.
All right. All right. All right. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes, so thank you. We'll sign off on those PCFs. And get ready. And do we have any other business that can't wait until our next meeting, which will be next week, July 18th? We're doing a back-to-back meeting this month because of the holiday.
Yes, you have the draft amendment to the PPB rules and regulations for vacation time. That actually I started on last year and couldn't come up with the correct wording. As the select board knows, that one of the things that we have found we have been lacking in to be competitive in the market. One of the things was the vacation time at the front end that we were offering.
I'd make a motion that we accept the draft version update of the vacation leave as presented by the town administrator, and we forward it to the PPP committee with our recommendation to take it up without hesitation and act upon it at their next monthly meeting.
Okay, I have a motion by John, second, please.
Second.
Second, Joy. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Hearing no opposition, motion passes. All right, great. Anything else that we're missing here? Any other business?
I'll make a motion to
Was
adjourn.
there a leave request?
The board, so that we can notify the treasurer collector if the board would make a formal vote to carry over some of my vacation time into the 6 months I have left. When I looked at my last paycheck, I actually have 161 hours of vacation time that I have not been able to use this year.
You're normally carrying over a week, right? So
Correct.
So without any action, you're already entitled to a week, right?
What's that?
Without any action of the board, you're already entitled to carry 40 hours over.
No.
You're asking to carry 40 of your 160, or more.
At least 40, because of the fact of the, shall we say, the contract carrying over if in this unusual circumstances, and you can word it so that I have to work till December 31st and use it before that, and I cannot, shall we say, cash in any of the 2-week carryover, if you would allow me 80 hours to carry over.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town administrator a one-time carryover of 80 hours of accrued and unused vacation time, with the understanding that the 80 hours must be used prior to December 31st of 2023, and any unused hours at that point in time would be unredeemable.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right, second by Joy. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much. I
Motion approved.
appreciate that.
all right. Good. No, I think that's all we had on the agenda.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
Everybody's in a hurry. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We are adjourned at about
goes back to Chris.
7:52-ish, somewhere there. Thank you very much.